Let's ask our first guest and Fast Friday Spectacular, Bryan Kehl, the Twitter question today. Bryan, first of all, welcome. Our Twitter question is, will the defense be better this year than it was last year? What do you think?
Well, they certainly can't be any worse. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking. They were bad, though, and I've said this before. That's nothing new. They weren't up to our standard. We have a standard, especially being a defensive guy. We have a standard. They didn't live up to it last year. And here's the thing. It's not like they weren't capable of being better. I would be easier on them if it was, they're just not able to be better. They tried hard. No, it was stupid mistakes. It's stupid, preventable mistakes that caused big blow-ups in coverage, guys running free down the middle of the field, the top getting blown off, just stuff that's inexcusable. They will be better because the coaches have been on them this whole offseason. Guys that were young, that were thrown out there that might not have been otherwise, they got valuable experience. All those reps, they're going to be a lot better, much improved.
Don't you think that having more coaches, just that fact alone, the fact that you have 5 specific defensive coaches instead of the 4, with Bronco taking essentially a new approach last year, don't you think that alone will make them better?
It should. I mean, in theory. And I'm a strong advocate that coaches coach and players play. And Bronco is fantastic. He's awesome. And the thing that he and all those other coaches need to do is not call better plays or scheme better or coach them better. What they need to do is better inspire the players to A, know their craft, B, know their opponent's craft, and C, go out and execute it. That's what we failed to do last year, starting with ourselves, starting with knowing our assignment on any given play. Now, I was with one of the safeties on the team the other day, Chris Badger. I was talking to him about last year. We were comparing the defense now to the defense that they ran when I was here. Totally different. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of what they have now. The scheme is way better now. But we were just talking about all the mishaps they had in coverage and guys just not knowing what they're supposed to do. You can't have that. It's inexcusable. You can't have it.
What's the difference in defenses now versus when you played?
Well, the defense I played in is just vanilla ice cream. We called just simple plays, and we ran them. Whatever we called, we ran it. And it was very simple. We didn't have a nickel. It didn't matter what they came out with. We had our base defense, and we call it a play. It was simple, and we ran it. Now it is much more complex. It's much more diversified. It's strawberry ice cream with sprinkles and Oreos and gummy bears.
Peach ice cream day. So.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's peach ice cream. I mean, it's got all the fixings on it. So they have checks. They adjust. They have adjustments to what the offense does. They're way more versified in their coverage and then their looks. They change up looks. They have people that roam. I mean, it's so much better now.
Okay, so a question on that then: were you guys better players, or is it too complicated now for these guys?
It shouldn't be, because it's still way easier than anything at the next level. But with us, we weren't better players.
I guess I'm getting at why your defenses better?
Why are you so effective?
I understand. It's because we studied. We knew what we were supposed to do first. We knew what the opponent was going to do second, and then we executed it. So that's one of the trade-offs. And that's part of why we had a vanilla defense. We had just installed it. 06 was our first year in that 3-4. And they kept it simple, and we knew exactly where we were supposed to do. We knew where the other guys were supposed to be. We worked together, and because of that, we executed at a higher level.
Well, a couple of things, and it goes back to accountability, which I've said like 17 times today. Bronco Mendenhall held you accountable, but you held each other accountable.
And that's the bigger difference. That's the bigger difference. When you have guys like Cameron Jensen and Kelly Papinga and Quinn Gooch, when you have field generals out there, you have everybody's performance.
But when guys don't know what everybody else is supposed to be doing, you can't hold each other accountable.
Yeah, who's the leader of the defense last year?
That's what I'm wondering.
Who was our leader? Who was our indisputed leader of the defense last year?
That's a fantastic question.
I think that it was supposed to be Craig Bills and Alani Fua.
Yeah.
And they get hurt.
They get hurt.
How do you lead when you're not on the field?
And even Bills, I love the kid. He's an awesome kid. He's an awesome football player. But he's not He's not a field general. He doesn't bark. He doesn't. You need a guy that'll snap at other guys. You kind of need that.
And he's good enough.
And
to
even
have the
me,
cred
like
to do
I
that.
wasn't that guy. I wouldn't call my in 06. I wasn't the leader of our defense. In 07, I wasn't the leader of the defense. I'd say the leader of our defense was Kelly Papinga in 07. Kelly was the guy that would more bark at other people. I'd say stuff that needed to be said. I was a lead by example. I'd make the plays that needed to be made. But we had guys. It's a personality thing. And but I will say this: if we didn't have Kelly in 07, then I would have taken that role. I would have done what needed to be done. And last year we needed somebody to step up and bark. We didn't have that.
Brandon Ogletree was that guy in 2012.
No question.
Has BYU had that type of guy since Brandon Ogletree left?
Not really.
You wonder who can step up and fill that role.
Yeah.
This is a great question.
Yeah. I've said it before. You need a dog. You need a dog out there.
I believe your words were the guy maybe 1 or 2 chromosomes away from being certifiably crazy.
Yes.
So do you see a guy on this BYU defense? And it sounds like it's got to be one of the linebackers.
It doesn't have to be.
No.
It usually is.
Okay.
It just goes with the position. So it's not like it has to be, but that's just usually the way it works.
Do you see a guy or a couple of guys that you think, okay, they could be this person?
I don't know any of them well enough to comment either way. But my hope is that, somebody rises up. Stand up. Now is your time. This is your time. This is your team. Stand up and take control of it.
In 3 weeks from tomorrow, we're going to see BYU practice, and that's going to be one of the first things I look at. Who's the guy on defense holding them accountable on the field? Bronco can only do so much. Who's going to be that guy on the field? I'm excited to see it develop.
Let me set up the next question with this about Frank Wintrich. The new strength and conditioning coach has gotten all sorts of publicity and buzz, and rightly so. I mean, the players, the coaches, the other staff members are all saying, man, the atmosphere that this guy brings is noticeably different. But should we slow the roll just a bit with him? Just because I feel like BYU football has had plain chocolate M&Ms for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
And when they first got them, it was great. Chocolate M&Ms are fantastic, okay? Yeah. Thin candy shell, great. Doesn't melt in your mouth, not in your hand. Okay. Now they've been introduced to peanut M&Ms with Frank Wintrich, and so it's like, these are really good.
It's new.
I like this.
It's better.
Yeah.
So, should we slow the roll a little bit and I feel like it's unfair to Frank because they're looking at him like, hey, he's going to solve all of our injury problems. Should we slow the roll?
Yeah, no question. I was on the radio the other day and I talked about this. We're going to see improvement, and we're going to see. And I've made this point before. You could argue that the coach that affects the result on the field the most is the strength coach. You could argue that, and I would argue that sometimes, depending on the circumstances. As far as the coaches coach and players play, if you're going to pick a guy who really affects result on the field, it's the strength coach. That being said, I said this on the radio, you don't take a guy who's a 4.9 and all of a sudden now he's a 4.4. So, yeah, have higher expectations, but temper them a little bit. We're not going to be a bunch of 4.3 guys now that we have Frank Wintrich. Yeah.
It's BYU.
Yes. I mean, so you can't take a 4.9 guy and turn him into a 4.8 or a 4.7, maybe a 4.6, maybe 3/10. That's, it's very rare, but you'll see a 3/10 drop. But you're not going to see, somebody transformed into a speed demon all of a sudden who wasn't before. That being said, there will be improvement, and the biggest improvement will come in our conditioning. And here's the thing, okay? Especially for a DB, if I'm a 4.4 DB, but I'm in terrible shape and I can only run 4.4 1 out of 5 plays, but this guy, he runs 4.5 every time. I want that guy.
Absolutely.
I want that guy.
Now the difference is the injuries. We look at last year and it was horrific. Okay, it was unlucky. It was unfortunate. Every descriptive word that can go negatively.
Was it unlucky when it happens that many times? Yeah. I don't know.
So people are looking at Frank as like, okay, he will make a difference in this area.
Soft tissues.
Yeah.
Soft tissue issues. That's what we're looking at.
So that is the
There's
hope.
a ton of science in that. And I'm not a exercise science major. I don't know the science, but I do know that there is science behind preventing injuries through exercise, through stretching, through routines, through a regiment that starts in January that continues throughout the season that prevents a lot of these soft tissue injuries. A broken leg, you're not going to prevent that.
Right.
Okay? A torn ACL, you're usually not going to prevent that. Some of that deals with muscle strength and imbalances. So it's, some of that. But when you're talking about a pulled hamstring, when you're talking about that stuff, a pulled groin, strains, all that stuff, yeah, that is huge science behind it.
Now listen to the. Go ahead, Jerm.
And with Frank Wintrich, I think that's all we want, really. Just prevent injuries. If BYU's faster, bonus to me.
Yeah,
really.
even if we just prevent injuries, I mean, we're ahead.
That will be enough.
You're ahead, yeah.
Bigger, faster, all that can come later. But BYU struggled to have continuity on defense, which brings us to the stat of the day.
It's the BYU Sports Nation stat of the day.
0. BYU had 0 defensive players start every game last year. In fact, 26 different guys started games last year.
Not one guy on defense started every game.
You have to have continuity so that those players can be on the field, make plays, establish leadership. Now you're going. Instead, in this modern era of platoon football, where you're going to have a bunch of players play anyway.
Yeah.
You can't have this.
It's a little weird. It's a little shocking, a little odd. And, I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's good to have a healthy rotation, especially if you have competition. I think it's good to be fresh and to throw fresh bodies and fresh legs at the offense, especially pass rushers. But you also want continuity. So
send in your questions, by the way, for Bryan Kehl on a Fast Friday. We always like to get a couple of questions from BYU Sports Nation members, so tweet those in using the hashtag BYUSN. Up next on the show, actually, we're gonna go to this soundbite. I want you to listen to this, Brian, and I'm gonna give you the commercial break to think about what you want to respond to this. Okay, Dennis Pitta called you out. He called you and your style out. Listen to this, and we're gonna go to break after it, and you can think about what you want to say. Here we go.
Well, I mean, look through the sources. Bryan Kehl. I mean, I know you guys have him on the show all the time, but I've never seen that guy out of a polo T-shirt. So. If we're really taking style tips from Bryan Kehl, we've taken a step back.
Okay. Now just ponder on that. Ponder on the style call out from Dennis Pitta. We're going to get your response to that up next on BYU Sports Nation.
Dennis was throwing punches at everybody. Threw one at me on Monday.